By the coast. A transparent fishing line was hung on the bamboo fishing rod, and the red worm was pierced by the hook and could only keep squirming and trying to break free. On the shore, a black-haired boy of about 12 years old sat cross-legged like an old monk. Holding the bamboo fishing rod in both hands, his eyes were dull, and he mechanically threw the rod into the sea to try to fish. "If you don't catch any fish today, you won't be able to eat," Dieter murmured. It has been 12 years since he was reborn in the fairy world. He knows that this world is different, and he also tried to learn magic. But that magic is not something he can learn in a short time. Today, he also relies on the meager assets left by his deceased parents to make a living. Because he is too young, many shops will not hire ordinary 12-year-old children, so they can only rely on fishing on the coast to sell for money. System? Dieter thought silently, and a line of words appeared in his mind. Remaining until the system is turned on, 7 hours 7 minutes and 7 seconds. Good. Dieter also has a system as a traverser, but his system has not been turned on for the time being, and it still takes 7 hours so far. It seemed like a long time, but Dieter was not in a hurry. He has been waiting for 12 years, and it's not too short of a while. Even if he really got some magical system, he couldn't make him eat dinner at night, and the top priority was to continue fishing. Fishing is an enjoyable hobby. Dieter, who was fishing, only felt that time passed so quickly. Whoa, seeing that the sky was about to darken, the sea surface splashed with waves. Dieter looked up and found a small boat not far away, and a small figure on the boat vigorously moved the oars towards this direction. "Who's bothering me fishing?" Dieter muttered. When the boat came on board like this, he didn't even think about fishing, so he sighed and took back his fishing rod to go to the neighbor's house to eat and drink. Boom. Just as he packed up his fishing rod and turned around, he heard the sound of something falling behind him. Dieter turned around again, only to find that the figure on the boat had slumped weakly on the edge of the boat, apparently in a coma. As a result, the boat is not balanced enough, and if left unchecked, it may soon fall into the deep sea and sink to the bottom of the sea. "It's unfortunate that this happened to me," Dieter complained. Sweeping around found no one nearby. I had to put the fishing rod aside and take off my overly heavy clothes and dived into the water to swim towards the boat. After a while, Dieter dragged the boat to the shore. Looking at the armor on the girl on the boat, he also admitted that he was unlucky to carry her, grabbed a few bags in the boat and walked towards the house. Dieter couldn't do it without dying. Although this world is very dangerous and there are supernatural beings such as mages, he still can't sit back and watch a little girl fall into the sea and drown. When he got home, Dieter threw the girl on the bed and brushed her hair only to find that the girl had an eye patch on her right eye. Appears to be blind in one eye. Bai Sha has such a beautiful face, but why do I feel a little familiar? Dieter took a serious look. The long red hair looked good. The small arms and calves are also very healthy, and the one eye that is not considered to be blind is considered a cute little one. That's what Dieter thinks he's seen before. "Aren't you tired of wearing armor?" Dieter said. Reached out to take off her armor, and wiped her face with a damp towel. After finishing, I used the ingredients in the little girl's package to cook. After finishing everything quickly, she bent her knees and leaned against the edge of the bed to take care of the little girl. Boom. PFF'd. In a daze, Dieter's body hurt and he fell to the ground. Ouch, Dieter exclaimed in pain. After opening her eyes, she found that the comatose little girl was staring at herself with a kitchen knife in her hand at the moment. "Who are you?" the little girl asked. The kitchen knife in his hand was stretched under Dieter's neck, and his voice was very cold, as if he would slit his throat with a slight movement. "My name is Dieter. What are you doing so nervous, you little girl? You must know that I am your savior. If I hadn't seen you comatose on the boat, I wouldn't care about you. What's your name?" Dieter shrank his neck and said. The little girl frowned and swept across the small house and the fragrant food on the table. The alertness in the voice dropped a little. "My name is Erza Scarlet." Dieter froze for a moment. She stared at the little girl in front of her with wide eyes. With an eye patch, long red hair, and the armor he wore before he started, he suddenly remembered why he felt familiar. "What's your look?" Erza glared at him. The kitchen knife in his hand was even more tightly clenched by 3 points, and there was a faint feeling of wanting to do it. Just a little surprised, but the name sounds nice," Dieter said hurriedly. "So small Erza, does that mean she hasn't joined the fairy tale guild yet?" "Thank you." Erza thanked. Perhaps realizing that Dieter was not threatening his power, he retracted the kitchen knife and walked to the dining table to look at the food in front of him. "You brought this food here. I've already eaten it. You're starving too. Eat it now," Dieter said. He got up from the ground and sat on the edge of the bed, watching her quietly. Erza, however, didn't eat the first time, and his eyes went back and forth between Dieter and the food on the table. Think for a moment and say, "You eat first." Dieter scratched his head, pretty vigilant. "Go over and sit down and start eating the food on the table one by one." Erza watched silently, seeing that Dieter didn't feel any discomfort after a long time, and only moved his chopsticks after making sure that he was not poisoned. Ding. System starts. Ding. The first sign in rewards 6 skill points. At this moment, the countdown time in the brain was reset to 0 and replaced with new words. It didn't take long for the word to appear and disappear again. Instead, it is an upside-down tree diagram, with a thick trunk at the top and a few branches extending down. The lowest branch has 6 branches. There are 6 skill bars at the end of the fork, which are temporarily grayed out. "Why don't you keep eating?" Seeing that Dieter didn't move his chopsticks, Erza immediately asked alertly, as if he was afraid that the poison in the food might have a certain fermentation time. You can eat it with confidence. I have no grudge against you, so I won't poison you." Dieter was speechless. After putting down his chopsticks, he walked back to the bed, sat down, closed his eyes, and carefully studied the tree diagram in his mind. Erza didn't bother after thinking for a few seconds. Bed. Dieter was so absorbed in his mind that the tree diagram looked odd looking upside down. Fortunately, he was quickly attracted by the 6 skill bars at the end. "Try to touch. Do you want to add some points?" Just when I came into contact with that skill bar, new words appeared in my mind. "Add a bit? Is it necessary to use the 6 skill points when the system was first started?" Dieter decided to give it a try, using his mind to choose to add points. With the addition of points, the added skill bar is no longer gray and has been lit up. Dieter went to check immediately, the words reappearing in his mind. Iron block. One of the 6 naval styles, it can harden the body to withstand strength after use, and cannot move during the use of the skill. What? Iron nuggets. Dieter couldn't help breathing quickly. He didn't expect to light up the skills in the world of pirates, and it was the Navy's 6th form that only the Navy can learn. You must know that the Navy's 6th form is also quite strong. Iron block, paper painting, gangfoot, moonstep, finger gun and shave, this is the 6 naval styles. If it can be used flexibly, it can barely make Dieter have the power to protect himself. Put your eyes on the skill bar again. Since this is the iron block that is lit up, then the rest must be other skills in the 6th form of the Navy. Light up. Light up. Light up. Without a word, Dieter lights up all the Navy 6. After all the lights are lit, the 6 skills extend out a line and converge together. At the intersection of the line, a gray treasure box appeared. I tried to get in touch, but unfortunately I couldn't open the treasure chest, and I didn't know what it was. Dieter took his mind back regretfully. Open your eyes and clench your fists to feel the constant power of this body. The 6 naval styles are also instantly integrated, and skills can be released at will. As that power? Dieter murmured. The tense mood of 12 years has also been relaxed at this moment, and the unprecedented sense of security has also wrapped him, and his mood has relaxed a lot. I used to worry that I would be accidentally killed by a mage. Now you can rest assured that even if you can't beat the magician, you still have enough self-protection power. Knock knock knock. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door outside the small room. Both Dieter and Erza were immediately alert. It shouldn't be dangerous, maybe it's a neighbor, Dieter said comfortingly. He walked to the front door and turned his head to look at Erza, who had been refreshed with a kitchen knife in his hand and nodded lightly. It seems that if there is danger, it will start. Creak. There was a screeching sound as the old door opened. After opening the door, there was no danger. Instead, there was a short old man standing outside with a kind smile. Yo. How are you two little friends? The old man greeted. Dieter was also stunned when he saw the old man. Standing at the door was Makarov, the current president of the Fairy Tale Guild. It is also in existence, rated as a Holy 10 by the Magic Council. Why did he come here? Hello, is there something wrong? Dieter asked without leaving a trace. Erza relaxed when he saw that it was an old man, and wondered who he was. Makarov walked in with a smile. His eyes swept across the small house, and finally stopped at the dining table and lost his mind. The quick glance at Dieter was also quite friendly. I'm Makarov, the president of the Fairy Tale Guild. Makarov introduced, and continued with kind eyes. Dieter, I've heard of you. The neighbors in the neighborhood say you are a good boy who respects the elderly and loves the young. So Makarov pondered, looked at Erza and Dieter with a smile and continued. Want to join Fairy Tale? There is everything you want. Fairy Tale. Erza stared in disbelief. Looking at the little Makarov in front of me, I think of the old man who helped me in those dark years. Taking a deep breath, his voice trembled. Can Iakana join? Makarov nodded without thinking after hearing Erza's words. Of course, Fairy Tail still welcomes you. Erza nodded. There is a joy in my heart that cannot be concealed. After all, she is only an 11-year-old girl, and it is impossible to keep her face expressionless and not reveal any emotions. Dieter was silent. Fairy Tail, I never thought you would come over and invite yourself, Dieter said sincerely. This guild is very strong. But what still surprised Dieter was that Makarov, the guild leader, would personally invite him to join the guild. Well, how should I say it? I just came here overheard from you. Fairy Tail welcomes a good boy with a good heart. Will you come with me? Makarov said. He also just learned about Dieter's news not long ago. Hearing that he was a good boy with a good heart, he was very curious to investigate, and after knowing that his parents died early, he had the intention of accepting it. Even if he doesn't have any combat power, without any related magic, Makarov will not regret making this decision even if he is an ordinary person all his life. I really like Dieter. Dieter, you should have nothing to worry about. Why don't you come with me? Erza also persuaded. In a short time, she also learned that Dieter was kind. Plus Dieter looked pretty good, so he took the initiative to invite. After all, this is the boy who could save himself from the sea. The grace of saving life, although she didn't say it. But I am still very grateful from the bottom of my heart. If I can be in a guild, I can repay my kindness in the future. Yes, but I want to try your strength. Dieter agreed after a little thought, but he wanted to try his hand at it before joining. This time Makarov and Erza were surprised. You should be just an ordinary person, Makarov said. He didn't understand why the kid Dieter wanted to challenge him beyond his capacity. How could an ordinary person be the opponent of a magician? Also Erza was curious. Dieter seemed to be about the same age as her, plus she was the age of a long body. How could she have beaten the president of a guild? It didn't take a second to know that Dieter was going to lose badly. But it doesn't matter, you can learn from me if you want. Let's try it outside. When Makarov was right, Dieter was going to find a plausible excuse to agree, and he simply agreed to his challenge without thinking too much about it. In my heart, I was also thinking that it would be good to play casually with the physique of an adult for a while.
That's good. Dieter nodded. The three walked towards the outside and came to the coast. There are few people on this street and there will be no accidental injuries.
Little devil, I'll let you do 3 moves. How about standing still and letting you play whatever you want? Makarov said confidently. Dieter didn't refuse to agree directly. After a few meters away from Makarov, he was ready. Although Erza knew that Dieter would lose, he still kept a safe distance. Waiting for the end of the battle without thinking. In her opinion, this battle should be over in a few seconds. After all, an ordinary person can't be an adult opponent no matter what. Especially since the other party is a magician, it is definitely not something that a teenage child can impress. Both parties are ready. The breeze blew the clothes of the two of them, and there was an atmosphere of a life and death battle. Shave. Moved. Dieter didn't wait for any pre-battle shouts to get moving. One move. The shaved in the 6th form of the Navy immediately disappeared in front of him, stirring up a circle of dust. So fast. Both Makarov and Erza exclaimed in their hearts. The eyes were wide, neither Makarov nor Erza took Dieter in their eyes. In their eyes, Dieter, who was an ordinary person, could not be an opponent at all. Result. No one expected Dieter to disappear from where he was standing in an instant as the battle started. This sudden change shocked both of them. Boom. The next second Dieter appeared in front of Makarov. A fist mixed with strong wind hit Makarov in the stomach. Nausea. Makarov suddenly felt that his stomach was hit, and a feeling of nausea hit. Subconsciously want to use magic to counterattack. But he soon realized that he was only fighting against a 12-year-old boy. How can it be? This is the only thought in Makarov's mind. 12-year-old boy. How could his speed become so fast? He disappeared in place in an instant, and when he reappeared, he was already in front of him. Indeed. Makarov admitted that he was careless. But even so, he is also the president of the guild, and his strength and physique must not be underestimated. Now I was almost beaten up by a 12-year-old boy. This huge gap made him feel a little uncomfortable, and he regretted saying that he had to make 3 moves. Even if it is this kind of strength, it will inevitably be a little uncomfortable. But since the words were spoken, naturally they could not be taken back casually. I just hope that the punch just now was the full strength of this kid. And Erza next to him saw it all. Impressive. Erza had always thought Dieter was a normal person, but his perception of him also changed. Dieter is so powerful. The ability that suddenly disappeared and then suddenly appeared just now made her unable to find the trajectory of her movement at all. She didn't even dare to say she could do it. Really great. Erza continued to watch with light in his eyes. Shave. Use the ability again to leave. Dieter returned to his standing position, looking at Makarov in front of him. He also had a certain understanding of his own strength.
At the same time, the warm-up is over and ready to come true.
Father, I'm serious. If you can't stand it, you better leave now, or you might get hurt if you're unprepared, Dieter said. Is Makarov strong? Of course, it was outrageously strong. The punch he had just done was almost his full strength, but Makarov was unscathed, so his face was a little ugly. Even Dieter felt some pain in his fist. That punch was as painful as hitting a steel plate, but fortunately he had a high degree of tolerance. Okay kid. Makarov didn't care. There was a bit of bitterness in my heart. The punch just now was still not punched seriously? If this is really serious and give yourself a few times, maybe it will really hurt. If you know that this kid has such strength, it is impossible to kill him and let you stand still. Now I have to pray in my heart a little lightly. Gangfoot. Suddenly, Dieter kicked his legs, and 2 or 3 crescent-shaped energies were shot out, plowing the ground and cutting towards Makarov's body. FCK. Makarov cursed in his heart. This kid is really ruthless, and all this magic has been used. Immediately, his body flashed, and he raised his right hand and stretched out his index finger. A yellow light bloomed and collided with the crescent-shaped attack. Boom. Energy burst. The run-in with each other disappeared in front of eyes. However, Shave. Dieter disappeared again and came to Makarov again. Without thinking, both hands stretched out their index fingers. Finger gun. Biu, biu, biu. His hands turned into afterimages, and he stabbed Makarov's body up and down. Makarov's pupils were tightly locked, and he clenched his teeth to resist the attacks. The pain all over the body also caused Makarov to lose his temper. Grab the gap and immediately clench your fists. I saw that the fist was immediately enlarged, turning into a fist the size of an iron cauldron and slamming into Dieter.
Makarov didn't react until he punched a huge fist. He secretly thought that it was not good, and immediately took back a lot of power.
Watching the fist is about to drown the body. Dieter spreads his legs and crosses his hands in front of him. Iron. In an instant, Dieter's body was stiff and iron was all over his body. Boom. The fist collided with Dieter's whole body, and there was a dull sound of steel colliding. Hula at the same time, Dieter was also beaten back by a huge force, and his feet were pear marks. Click till. Dieter lifted the iron block and swung his arms a little surprised. As expected of Makarov, who can serve as the Holy Ten, even the physical strength that he is constantly exerting is not something he can contend with now. A tingling in both arms. On the opposite side, Makarov's face was not very good. Looking down at his clothes, holes were also poked open. Although there were no wounds on his body, if he looked closely, he would find that the places where he was hit were already glowing red. Even a few places with weak defenses turned purple. Little devil, you really are not simple. It's only a matter of time before you work hard in the future to become an S-rank mage. Makarov sighed. Are all the little devils so strong these days? If he hadn't reacted in time, he might have really overturned today. It seems that I can't learn from this kid Dieter in the future, otherwise I might suffer a big loss at some point. The old man is joking. I just want a place to live, and S-class mages don't demand anything. Dieter smiled. Erza next to him also walked in front of the 2 people with complicated eyes. Looking at Dieter with complicated eyes, you are amazing, much stronger than me. You are only 12 years old, but you are already so amazing. Erza is also observant. Although this time the sparring failed to hurt the president, but it can be seen that he is not very happy as the president. In my heart, the impression of Dieter was suddenly much taller. Sure enough, strong people are more attractive. Even if you're only 12 years old and older than you should be called brother. Dieter jokingly laughed. Erza's ears turned red when he heard this, but he quickly backed off. But it was still captured by Dieter keenly. I was a little surprised, but Erza was really cute when she was a child. It's a fight, so let's go home, Makarov suggested. There was a hint of anticipation in both Dieter and Erza's eyes. Smiling nod. After I went back and simply packed my luggage, I followed Makarov's pace home. Magnolia. Fairy Tale Guild. Welcome to Fairy Tale, this will be your home from now on. At the entrance of the guild, Makarov turned to look at the 2 people with his hands behind his back, and was very happy to warmly welcome them. Dieter looked up at the large building of Fairy Tale. As expected, both the architectural style and the street at the door made him feel familiar. This is Fairy Tale? Erza is also stroking the building in front of him. Let's go. Go in and see your friends. Makarov replied with a smile. Reaching out and pushing open the door of the Fairy Tale Guild, What caught my eye was slaps. Ooh, come on Gray. Punch him in the face. Ha ha ha. Wakaba, you're a real dish. You can't even beat a child, but if Gray beats you, you can only run away. Laugh at me. Gray quickly frees that Wakaba guy with ice magic and beat him. Inside the guild hall, with a cigarette in his mouth, a young man wearing a green coat is being chased and beaten by a naked 10-year-old child. Damn it, kid, don't think I dare not hit you, it's just that you don't want to bully you when you're young. Wakaba shouted aggrieved. Gray drooped his eyes, put his right fist on the palm of his left, and grinned and roared, if you dare to play me, prepare to die. You bastard can't play, I'm going to fight back. Come. The two were about to fight with magic. Makarov, who had just entered the hall, turned black, took a deep breath and roared, you idiots, don't use magic to fight in the guild. As he said that, Makarov's body instantly grew to the point where it reached the ceiling above his head. Silent. The entire guild fell silent in an instant. Everyone stopped and looked at the president who had grown bigger.
Humph. Gray snorted coldly to withdraw the magic.
Wakaba was also relieved. Hello, the president is back. Where did you go today? Yo, are the two little guys behind the president a newcomer? The people in the guild greeted immediately. Seeing this, Makarov regained his enlarged body. Nodding solemnly. Yes, Dieter and Erza are both newcomers, I hope you don't bully people casually. Macau and Wakaba sat together and looked at Dieter and Erza. The whisperers didn't know what to say. It's a little different than I imagined, Dieter muttered. He always thought that the source of Gray's fondness for fighting was because of Natsu, but he didn't expect Gray to fight with people often at this time. At the same time, his eyes swept across Kana, who was sitting beside him getting drunk. Gray stepped forward, looked at the two, and asked, Master, are they two family? No. Makarov replied. Dieter is 12 years old, and naturally taller than Gray. Looking at him condescendingly, what are you looking at, drooping eyes, exhibitionist? You. Gray was angry. On the other hand, Dieter didn't take it seriously. Isn't the tradition of joining a guild just to show strength? There is only Gray in the entire guild. Who else can you fight if you don't fight him? In addition, Dieter really wanted to be the boss, and subduing Gray was pretty good, so he took the initiative to find fault. Damn it. I'm going to fight you, if it's a man, fight me. Gray gritted his teeth. The people in the guild were a little excited when they heard this. Wakaba immediately shouted. Is someone going to fight again? This time is the new one fighting with this kid Gray. Great, let's start. Awesome. All the little guys who join the guild these days are so fond of fighting, Macau also said. Makarov didn't care much, because he knew that even in a fight, Gray was no match for Dieter. Indeed, Gray's ice magic is very powerful, but now Dieter's elusive ability, even he was amazed, and it was impossible for him to lose. It just so happens that the guild also needs a big brother who plays an important role among children. Dieter is kind-hearted, helpful and has a role that fits the big brother. Be careful. Next to him, Erza swept across Gray with a blindfold, unexpectedly taking the initiative to care about Dieter. Hearing this also made Dieter feel a little strange. As far as he knew, Erza was withdrawn when she first joined the guild, and it was Gray and Natsu who slowly opened up to her withdrawn personality. It was actually related to him at this time, but still nodded in response. Thank you.
Putting his eyes on Gray, he grinned. It's okay to fight, but if you lose, you will call Big Brother, do you know?
You bastard. Gray tickled his teeth with hatred. Dieter didn't give him a chance to refute, turned around and walked outside, waving at the same time. Put on your clothes and come outside to discuss. Ah. Gray looked down and saw that he didn't have any clothes on. Immediately run away and get dressed. Wow, the newcomer still has the courage to fight Gray. I don't know who is more powerful. I think it's Gray, that kid named Dieter looks weak. It's not certain. Everyone in the guild was discussing curiously. Analyze which of the two people is stronger, and make bets at the same time. On the road in front of a small river at the entrance of the guild. Guild members and President Makarov, drunk Kana, and Erza all walked out of the guild and quietly watched the upcoming match. Gray, don't be too embarrassed, boy, Wakaba shouted. Macau was holding a glass of wine next to Kana, who looked like a child, and asked, Kana, who do you think has a better chance of winning? Hiccup. Kana hiccuped drunkenly, dangling her hand holding the glass to Dieter. Hey, Ahika will win. How is that possible? Could it be that that kid has already learned magic? Macau couldn't believe it. Magic needs to be learned. When I was young, I didn't know anything, so how could I learn magic? Kana shook his head. It's not. He looks handsome. In the field, Gray naturally heard the words of the guild members. Seeing that Kana was not optimistic about himself, He was also very depressed and retorted, "Humph. He looks as big as me. How could he be my opponent? I have learned magic from Ulu since I was a child. Can we start?" The opposite dieter stood silently and asked when Gray was still chatting. Gray hummed disdainfully, "Come on, I will definitely beat you." Everyone watched, wanting to see who the strongest kid in the guild was. LCEMAKE gun. Shave. Gray performs the ice-shape magic action. The move was not finished, and Dieter suddenly disappeared in front of him. What? How did that kid disappear suddenly? What was that thing just now? Macau was originally watching the play, but exclaimed in shock as soon as the duel started. He thought that he was still a bit strong, and he thought that a fight between two children would be boring. The result did not expect to disappear suddenly. At that speed, he couldn't even see his figure, and he couldn't even see how he disappeared in front of his eyes. Are children of this age so powerful? Also shocked was Macau's good brother. Wakaba's cigarette fell to the ground in shock. His little eyes were also opened in surprise at this time, and he swallowed and patted his good brother's shoulder. He asked inconceivably, Did I have hallucinations? How could he be so powerful and disappear in an instant? Kana also stopped drinking. In her impression, the fight between two people is nothing more than a few tricks. But now it shocked her. The president, Makarov, had a faint sense of superiority, and he was very happy to see the members who were shocked and fell to the ground. There is a feeling that everyone is drunk and I am awake alone. As expected of Dieter, it really refreshed the three views of this group of people. In the field. Also shocked was Gray, who said in his heart that it was impossible. Before he could attack, he had already lost his target? Is this really the physique and strength that a 12-year-old should have? You are too slow. Before Gray could react from his shock, he heard someone talking behind his back. The body immediately turned around, trying to counterattack. Pung. Unfortunately, his movements were still too slow in the end, and before his body could turn around, he felt a punch in the back. Body inertia was beaten out. He fell to the ground and slid abruptly for a few meters, and his little face was scratched into a layer of skin. It hurts. Gray immediately curled up on the ground, covered his face and rolled, screaming in pain. Too slow. Dieter retracted his fist with regret. Perhaps because of the difference between the world of pirates and the world of fairy tale, he could clearly feel that the Navy's sixth form was much stronger than he imagined. Otherwise, he could not have caught Makarov by surprise if he was careless. It's as easy as an ant for 10-year-old Gray now. Damn it, I won't admit defeat. Gray got up angrily. Get ready to attack again. Come on, Gray, you are a senior who joined the guild first, don't let the newcomers look down on you. Ha ha ha, Gray kid, hurry up and admit defeat, this newcomer is much better than you. Awesome, the guild's newcomers are getting stronger and stronger. Come on, give him some color to see. Among the members of the guild, Gray was beaten with no power to fight back, and he had no intention of being distressed at all. He also kept urging Gray to make him use some force. Everyone laughed wildly. LCEMAKEA Lancers. Gray unleashed magic, shooting multiple ice spears from his hand, stabbing at all angles at a rapid rate. And Dieter grinned when he saw the ice spears. The body seemed to change in an instant, and the body that was standing upright suddenly swayed. Paper painting. The body seemed to have no bones, like the seaweed swaying freely in the sea. It seems to be swaying back and forth, left and right, but it is often able to avoid the attack of the ice spear. What? Macau was really stunned, looking at Dieter who was shaking his body wantonly and asked in surprise, what is this, how can a person's body be in that shape? There are many criss-crossed bones in the human body, which support the human body. But at this moment Dieter was shaking like a string, as if there weren't any bones that could be soft to that extent. This is simply anti-human. Just kidding, President, is this kid really human? Wakaba was also stunned. That soft and boneless movement is not inconsistent. This unscientific, not to mention Wakaba and Macau. The current president, Makarov, was also about to drop his jaw. He'd had a conversation with Dieter. There are a lot of abilities that he has shown so far, but he has never seen this body dance like a boneless body. Is it human? At this moment, Makarov couldn't help but have such absurd thoughts in his heart. But he quickly suppressed the doubts in his mind, and responded by pretending to understand. Of course it is a human being. The president, do you know what's going on? Macau asked a question. Makarov's expression was calm, but he was speechless in his heart, he knew what a shit.
Magic is a very powerful thing. Any kind of magic is normal in this world, maybe Dieter has some kind of special magic.
But he couldn't say he didn't know. This is related to his identity and status as the president. He cleared his throat and said, it's magic. There are many magics in the world. At this moment, Dieter is using some kind of magic. Both Macau and Wakaba nodded. Although the president felt a little uncomfortable, he still obediently admitted this. Duel. Gray was also stunned, and those actions just now also subverted his three views. He thought that when his magic was released, Dieter would use the previous trick again and disappear in place. Or come directly to the front to continue the attack. But he really didn't expect Dieter to swing like a seaweed in his ice spear. It was even possible to escape. What the hell are you? Gray was distressed. After thinking about it, the skills currently mastered seem to have no way to effectively prevent the situation just now. No matter what skills are released, they will be evaded. Hee, that's all your moves are. Dieter laughed. After recovering, he charged directly in front of him, intending to defeat Gray head on to end the battle. Damn it. Gray was secretly angry, feeling underestimated. His eyes turned dark, and his eyes lit up immediately, and his hands once again performed the modeling magic move. LCEMAKEA floor. The cold ice-shaped magic is released. Gray immediately patted his hand on the ground, and saw that Gray's body was immediately covered with white frost, forming a smooth ground. Beautiful. Macau exclaimed, with admiration in his eyes, using ice to create a smooth surface on the ground, it can make the opponent slip, so that the new kid's previous moves can't be used. Not bad. Wakaba nodded with satisfaction. Gray, this kid, still has a strong sense of battle. After this trick is used, the newcomers can't fight in close quarters, and the battle situation is a lot fairer at once. Both brothers admire Gray's improvisation. This move may not be able to completely stop it, but it has been able to open up terrain that is beneficial to Gray. Even President Makarov was very satisfied when he saw this scene. Gray, this kid, is still very good, and he made such a judgment based on the existing combat power. Already quite good, but there's no point in defeating Dieter. But unfortunately, Makarov knew that Dieter's abilities were far more than that, and the abilities called gang feet and pointing guns that he learned from are sufficient to deal with. In fact, this time, Gray has no hope of winning at all. Dieter didn't stop rushing forward. Even if the ice surface was under his feet, he had no intention of stopping at all. Continue to rush forward. The surrounding guild members in Gray were all staring at Dieter, waiting for him to step on the ice and slip. However, Dieter jumped into the air the moment he stepped on the ice. Exposed in the air with nowhere to hide. Gray, now is the opportunity, he can't counterattack in the air, seize the opportunity. Wakaba reminded immediately. Everyone else is waiting for Gray's offense and Dieter's downfall. And Gray knew to seize the opportunity. His hands were in motion again, ready to beat Dieter the moment he jumped onto the ice. Moonstep. Dieter landed face down. When he was about to step on the ice, a wave of air appeared under his feet, which immediately rebounded and jumped up again. Standing in the air. From time to time, air masses popped out from under his feet to keep him in the air. Everyone's smiles and expressions were frozen on their faces. It was unacceptable to watch this scene quietly, seeing that Gray was about to win, and the result. This is too cheating. Kana was in a mood. She and Gray were supposed to narrowly win. Rasulta A. This Dieter actually flew straight up. Can fly. What kind of magic is this, and she wants to learn it even if it can fly. You are too much. Gray's posture also passively retracted, slumped on the ground and muttered speechlessly. The ability to fly, defend, and fast, all of which together don't give him any chance of winning. Every time he thought he was about to win, he hit rock bottom again. Moody. Don't take the burden directly. You are very good, although you are a little short of me. Seeing Gray give up, Dieter slowly landed from the air and walked in front of him with a smile, reaching out and pulling him up. He took the initiative to hold his hand and introduced. My name is Dieter, and I will be your elder brother in the future. You can ask me for help when you are in danger outside. Gray's gloomy introduction. My name is Gray Fullbuster, please take care of me. The battle is over. Dieter wins with a psychic blow. The guild members all sighed and praised. It's amazing, I didn't expect that the children brought by the president are more powerful than the last. This little guy Dieter also looks like a good seedling. S-ranked mages may not need to question, the future is absolute. It's great, the Dieter kid is not weaker than us now. It seems that the guild will be the leader in the future. Admiration. This is true admiration. Whether it is Macau or Wakaba, they are all very happy at the moment. In their eyes, both Dieter and Gray are their younger brothers, and the stronger the younger brother is, the more face they have. And President Makarov is also very happy. Obviously, he is more satisfied with the strength shown by Dieter. Then welcome to Fairy Tale, Dieter and Erza. Makarov greeted him with a smile. Clap clap. The people around were applauding and cheering. sunny. The sea was splashed with ripples by the breeze. On the shore of the big sea at the entrance of the fairy tale guild, Dieter sat on the ground with a fishing rod and waited for the fish to take the bait. Macau and Wakaba came from a distance with their baggage and greeted enthusiastically, "Are you fishing again, Dieter?" "Yeah, you guys came back from the mission?" Dieter turned his head to respond. Macau laughed. "Yes, we want to earn money to marry a wife, we can't compare with you." "Ha ha ha, it's been a year since you joined the guild, don't you plan to do the quest?" Wakaba also asked with a smile. Dieter laughed and didn't respond, looking back at the float on the sea. "It's been a year since I joined Fairy Tail, and Dieter has been very apologetic during this time. Every day is eating, fishing and sleeping. I am not interested in doing tasks at all, and rely on selling fish to support myself." Whether it was Erza or Gray and Kana who had already started to work, he was the only one who was still so idle. Dieter. After a long time, Erza's call came from the direction of the guild. After a while Erza came to him. "Erza, you've grown a lot taller. It's been a year, I wonder how you're adapting." Dieter asked with a smile this time. The fastest integration in this year is Dieter, while Erza is not so cheerful. Nothing has changed except fishing with him from time to time, not so enthusiastic about Gray or Kana, and friends are a foreign word to her. Getting into Fairy Tail isn't a short-term goal either. "It's okay," Erza replied with her head lowered. Dieter is also very helpless. He has never experienced Erza's despair, and he has no right to let her out of that shadow. The only thing he can do is to chat with her more so that she will not be so withdrawn in the guild. Everyone is the same age and should get along well. "By the way, the president asked me to come over and call you to show you your new partner, a young man with cherry-colored hair," Erza said hurriedly. Dieter hesitated a little after hearing Erza's description. He couldn't help but ask, "What year is it now?" Erza had doubts in his eyes, wondering why Dieter asked this, but he said, "It's X777. Year X777. Dieter lost his mind. If I remember correctly, Natsu should join the guild. According to Erza's description, the partner introduced by the president is likely to be the Dragon Slayer of Fire. "Okay. Let's go back." Dieter agreed with a smile. Put away the fishing rod from the shore, and walked towards the guild chatting and laughing with Erza. "Come to the door soon. Ding. Sign in to the Fairy Tale Guild and reward 6 skill points." Suddenly, familiar fonts come to mind. Dieter couldn't help but stop, breathing heavily. The system appears again. The system that was activated after meeting Erza a year ago has since gone silent, making Dieter think his system is dead. Didn't expect this to happen again. For what reason? Could it be that Natsu can't do it? You must know that Natsu is the protagonist, so he was there to trigger the sign in function of the system? It's quite right to think so. "What's wrong with you?" Erza asked suspiciously when Dieter stopped. Dieter quickly returned to his senses, smiled and shook his head. "It's okay, just wondering if the newcomer is also a little monster." "I don't know." Erza shook his head. The two continued to walk inside the guild and push the door in. "Idiot. I said don't get so close to me. You exhibitionist, I don't want to sit with you, the president asked me to sit here." "Fire-spitting kid, I'll say it again, I'm not an exhibitionist." Slightly, drooping eyes. "Ah, you fire-breathing brat, I'm going to kill you." As soon as I entered the guild, I heard Gray and Natsu bickering. "You and I will not deal with each other as soon as you meet, and you can't wait to destroy each other." "Yo, hello everyone." Dieter didn't care about the two more people, raised his hand to greet the people in the guild. Everyone in the guild warmly welcomed Dieter. "Dieter, take care of Gray and this guy named Natsu, they've been arguing as soon as they met," Wakaba complained. Macau also spoke without showing weakness. "Yes, aren't you the king of children in our guild? Erza, Gray, and Kana can handle it, hurry up and let them stop arguing, I'm going to be big." "Chi, who cares about him?" Kana Tsunere retorted. Dieter smiled and stared at Natsu, the cherry-colored hair and white scaly scarf and the warm tone of voice. Undoubtedly the same as in memory. "Hey, you are the most powerful in the guild, right?" At this time, Natsu left Gray's side and came to Dieter, looking up at him with his entire head above his head, with a strong suspicion in his eyes. "Hee, that's it." Dieter put his hand on Natsu's head and played with it. Natsu disliked it, and wrote down the gauntlet. "Let's fight, if you lose, I will be the strongest in the future." Yuha Dieter was stunned. Even the rest of the guild couldn't help being stunned. Even Gray was a little speechless. "Ha ha ha, did you hear that the new little guy is going to challenge Dieter?" "Laugh at me. Dieter doesn't fight very much in the guild, but he is quite strong, so this little guy wants to challenge himself beyond his ability? Are all the new little guys so brave these days?" Dieter gave him a hand, and this little guy won't be a match. That's right. Come on Dieter, teach him a hard lesson, and let him know what a guild boss is. The ordinary members of the guild immediately burst into laughter. It's true that Dieter didn't do the quest, but this does not mean that his strength is weak. Even Dieter a year ago did not dare to say that he would definitely win. Not to mention that Dieter is definitely stronger now. Gray also shook his head, sarcastically. Hey, you don't have to be so direct even if you want to fight. It's better to go to Erza than to go to Dieter, he's very strong. Gray hadn't challenged since a year ago with Dieter. The reason was naturally because even now, he wasn't sure he could deal with Dieter's elusive moves. Kana, who was drinking over there, was also drinking heavily, and she was a little drunk and complained. You little brat, why bother to make fun of yourself? No one likes Natsu. It's not that I don't think he can't, but because Dieter's strength is simply beyond his peers. Just fight Gray. Why don't you think about it and come to Dieter? Erza was also on Dieter's side at this time. After a year of getting along, she also regarded Dieter as her best friend. This will cause peers to humiliate themselves and fight back. Humph. Natsu raised his face, pinched his waist, and continued with a heroic and fearless role model. Don't you dare. If you don't dare, give up the position of your boss. Arrogant. Too arrogant. Dieter thought it was funny. But as the boss of the same age in the guild, it is natural to not admit it. Laughing, he turned and walked outside. Come on, let me see how powerful you are. Natsu followed with a majestic stride. Wow. Dieter is going to shoot again after a year, so be sure to take a good look this time. I don't know if Dieter is better now than before. I'm really looking forward to it. Although I know this newcomer is definitely not an opponent, I still want to see it. Come on, Dieter, don't be knocked down by the newcomers. The members of the guild naturally fear that the world will not be in chaos. Hearing that Dieter was going to discuss with others again, he immediately swarmed over. It's still that way. Dieter took his place again, standing in the air with Natsu. Dieter's thoughts were in his head. After getting the system to successfully light up the 6th form of the Navy a year ago, although he practiced redoubled his efforts. But it didn't take long before I felt a bottleneck. I think the lack of skill points may be the skill points. Can you directly light up the treasure chest above the Navy 6th style this time? It's still an upside-down tree. The bottom 6 skill bars are still hanging with the Navy 6. And the line of the skill bar extended to a treasure chest above. Dieter tried to open it with skill points. The result is a line of words. The skill level of the 6th form of the Navy is not up to the standard. After the words were displayed, Dieter was a little disappointed. In fact, he had an intuition when he went to light up the treasure chest icon. But it's a little sad to see the fact. Looking at the Navy 6th form again, there is a number in the upper left corner of these skill bars. Iron block level 3, paper painting level 3, moon step level 3, finger gun level 3, post level 3, shaving level 3. All 6 skills are level 3. Dieter thought for a moment and then added one more point to each. With the success of adding points, the 6 types of naval rank have reached rank 4. Dieter came to his senses. The skill proficiency of the 6 naval styles in the body poured into the body again. Physique, strength and speed are all improved. This improvement is huge. Now he is enough to deal with the 3 previous self. Damn it. I will definitely beat him. On the opposite side, Natsu refuted those people in the guild who were deliberately making fun of him, his small fists clenched as if he had made up his mind. Gray shook his head, feeling that Natsu was embarrassed. Why make fun of yourself? Even if Dieter hasn't shot for a year, it's not something you can deal with now. At the same time, President Makarov also huddled aside and watched silently. He is still very curious about Dieter's current strength. He wonders if he has regressed after not cultivating for a year. Be careful, he's playing with fire. Erza, not far from Dieter, reminded him of Natsu's magical abilities. Okay. Dieter nodded. Putting his eyes on Natsu again, he stretched his arms and hooked his fingers. Damn it. Natsu rushed in angrily, clenching his fists and punching Dieter in the stomach, and the heat wave followed. Amazing. Dieter exclaimed. Even if he hadn't caught the flame and attacked, he could clearly feel the fiery temperature on Natsu's fist. It is not a loss to be the Dragon Slayer of Fire. Even if it is small, it should not be underestimated. Immediately, he moved his right foot sideways to avoid the fist, and clenched his right fist to Natsu's shoulder. Boom. The fist hit Natsu directly in the shoulder, knocking him out to the ground. But before he could speak, Natsu, who fell to the ground, stood up again. I'm getting serious. Natsu patted the dust on his body, and put his fists on his waist with his horse steps. Woohoo! The flames erupted, and 2 groups of fiery flames wrapped their fists to increase their destructive power and rushed again. Amazing. This kid actually knows how to use the explosive power of flames to attack. He understands so much at a young age, but how big is he when he grows up? Mikao also plays with fire, and is naturally clear about the characteristics of flames. Seeing Natsu's skillful use of the explosive force of flames to continue his attack, he also admired his fighting spirit. It's pretty good, but it's impossible to beat Dieter even like that, Wakaba responded with a cigarette in his mouth. Duel. Dieter doesn't look down on anyone. Not even a young Natsu, so he was serious and careful to avoid his fists. Look for opportunities to win with one hit. Once again staggering Natsu's attack, Dieter was planning to shoot, but found a slyness in Natsu's eyes. Know right away that something is wrong. Fire dragons, iron fist.
I saw Natsu's fists collide, a red magic circle appeared in front of him, and the flames of his right fist burned towards Dieter.
Everyone in the guild was heartbroken. Everyone couldn't help but worry that Dieter would capsize. This sudden move also made them unexpected, and if they were on the field, they might be hit. Iron block. Can Dieter do it? As someone who knows the magic of Fire Dragon Slayer very well, he is always on guard against possible moves. Seeing that Natsu used magic, he immediately opened his hands and used iron blocks while stomping on horses. The body instantly became extremely hard. Boom. The fist and the chest collided, making a dull sound like hitting an iron block. Wow. Natsu was bounced off instantly. He got up from the ground and rubbed his fists in a hurry, constantly shaking it to relieve the pain. Everyone around was relieved. It's okay. I thought Dieter was going to capsize in the gutter, but I didn't expect his reaction speed to be quite fast. Wakaba wiped off the sweat that didn't exist, and said with lingering fears. Mikao next to him also breathed a sigh of relief. Yeah, the move just now was really unexpected. If it was me, I wouldn't even dare to fight hard. The other guild members also spoke one after another. Dieter's strength is becoming more and more unfathomable, and that move, Fire Dragon's Iron Fist, is also very powerful. I didn't expect Dieter to be able to resist without changing his face. Yeah, even if Dieter hasn't shot for a year, it's not to be underestimated. It's amazing. Originally, I wanted to try to challenge Dieter, but now I think about it, I don't want to go to abuse. The members of the guild chatted in ear to ear. President Makarov also breathed a sigh of relief. The unexpected move just now made him a little worried. It seemed that Dieter hadn't neglected his practice, and the iron block was much harder than it was a year ago. Opposite. Natsu grinned and rubbed his red fists in pain. How can your body be so hard? I can't even move, Natsu asked. That hard body hardness also made him feel hit on the steel plate of pure iron. Just the force of the rebound made his fists red and painful. What he learned was dragon-slaying magic, and the destructive power was very strong. As a result, the punch made his arm go numb. On the other hand, the opponent is standing like nothing. Stop gossip. Maybe it's over if you only have this level. Dieter patted the dust that wasn't there, watching Natsu prepare to end the fight. Damn it, Fire Dragons, Iron Fist. Naturally, Natsu was not convinced, and rushed to attack again. The flame on the fist also rose in temperature due to the change in emotion. Finger Guna Huang Liana A. Dieter bent his index finger and stabbed at Natsu's body with a super high speed. And changed the attacking position of the next shot left and right. Wow. Natsu screamed in pain, and was hit in many places on his body. Although Dieter restrained his attack power, he still opened several wounds, and the pained Natsu bared his teeth and cried out in pain. Whoa, Fire Dragon's Iron Fista. Natsu bears the pain. With difficulty, he rushed forward with his spare strength, and hit him with a fist that tried his best. Iron block empty woulda. I said it's useless, end the fight. Dieter shook his head regretfully, his chest swelled up against his all-out fist. Boom. Whooping. Natsu's fist hit his chest, and at that moment he felt that his power was completely rebounded. In an instant, his blood surged. The body flew out and fell to the ground, losing his will. Pity. Dieter's face was full of regret. He still had a lot of moves that he didn't use, and as a result Natsu couldn't. Taking back his fighting stance, he turned around and walked towards the guild, yawning. The members of the guild were terrified. In this battle, Dieter used moves they had never seen before, not only powerful. It also seemed to make him more at ease. I've decided that I will never provoke Dieter in my life, it's too unfathomable. Dieter is really getting better and better. He hasn't done it for a year, and his magic is already different from before. Scare me to death, be nice to Dieter in the future. The guild members all muttered. Dieter's strength made them unable to see victory, and they no longer doubted that even if a guild member joined in the future, they would definitely not be Dieter's opponent. He will be the eldest brother among his peers. At the same time, Gray also admired it even more. In the battle just now, Dieter also showed enough ease, and he dealt with Natsu Kid in an understatement. This brighter admiration glowed in his eyes. It's too powerful, and I still haven't cultivated enough. Gray was excited. Having seen Dieter's more powerful skills, Gray decided to practice hard, and strive to be as powerful as Dieter one day. After speaking, he turned and walked towards the guild. Kana, who was drinking, also blushed and looked at Natsu, who fainted on the ground, and turned to enter the guild. She suddenly thought that if Dieter could help her practice, she might soon be able to become an S-class mage, and she would say her identity out loud in front of that man. Thinking of this, the emotions are also excited. The same is true. Erza admired Dieter even more when he saw Dieter walking towards the guild. Sure enough, strong men are more attractive. Makarov walked up to Natsu, and after checking the injury, he complained, "This kid, it's not serious." At the same time, I also admire Dieter's current strength is really getting stronger and stronger. At present, it has been regarded as the top combat power of the guild. In my heart, I decided to start the assessment in 2 days, just to let my grandson Lagosas know not to underestimate anyone. Within the guild. You. Erza sat beside him thoughtfully, his eyes filled with curiosity, wanting to ask something. Dieter took a glass of juice and drank it, wiped the corner of his mouth with his sleeve and asked, "Anything you want to ask?" Erza nodded and asked after sorting out the language, "You obviously haven't cultivated, but your strength is still so strong. Is there any special way to improve it?" She thinks that cultivation is also very hard. But after a year, Dieter's strength was still so terrifying, she felt that there was a big gap. Even though she wasn't interested in being the eldest among her peers, Dieter was getting stronger fast enough to throw her too far. Wow, I'm going to duel with you." Dieter was about to say 2 words of hard work when he was interrupted. I saw that Natsu, who should have fainted, was now awake, and rushed into the guild and shouted at Dieter. "You're not giving up." Dieter's mouth twitched. This Natsu is really a Shaoqiang who can't be killed, and he wakes up so fast. It's really full of energy. Seeing Natsu making a fuss about making a decision with Dieter again, Gray also sighed. He tried to substitute in the duel just now, but the result was the same as Natsu, and he would be beaten with no power to fight back. In addition, after syncope will never wake up in such a short period of time. There is some urgency in my heart. I don't want to fight Dieter, at least I want to fight Natsu. The other members of the guild quietly watched Natsu make a fuss. No matter how he played, it was impossible for Natsu to beat Dieter, just ignore them. The client, Dieter, was upset by the noise. He got up from his seat and walked towards the commission column, intending to take a commission and leave the guild so as not to be pestered by Natsu every day. "Yo, are you going to take the entrusted mission?" Makarov greeted. Dieter nodded. "I don't want to be pestered by Natsu every day, so let's do the entrusted task and leave." Makarov nodded, looking at the tasks on the commission column and also recommended, "These commissions are of different difficulty. If you are alone, do some simple commission tasks. If you have a partner, you may choose a higher level commission of remuneration." He now has a rough judgment on Dieter's strength. It can be said that most of the commissions on the first floor are sufficient to complete. Of course, given Dieter's age, he also wanted someone to be with him. "Am I with you?" After hearing Makarov's words, Erza walked over. The people eating in the guild couldn't help but stop what they were doing, and looked at Erza and Dieter with a strange look. Erza has done 100% commissions so far, and he is also one of the fastest growing members in the guild. Dieter's strength is very strong, and Erza is also the same. I can't believe what it would be like for these two to do commissions together. I don't think even the most difficult assignments will be a problem, right? The members of the guild were clamoring for it. Even Makarov was a little surprised. Apart from the S-rank mages, Dieter and Erza were among the most powerful members of the guild. If these two people form a team, even if it is a request on the second floor, it will be fine, right? Also, Dieter didn't refuse. He reached out and grabbed a request and handed it over to Erza, asking her to check it out and prepare to travel together. Everyone in the guild was very curious about the entrustment of the two people. He couldn't help but focus his eyes on the commission. A quest to destroy the devil. Macau was surprised when he saw the content of the quest. "What?" Wakaba suddenly exclaimed, and immediately walked in 3 steps and 2 steps, staring at the content of the commission, and said with a heavy face, "This commission is very difficult." Macau's reconsideration. "This is the most difficult commission on the first floor. It has been posted in the guild for 3 months, and no one dares to do it. This commission can even be rated to the point that only S-level mages can complete it. I heard that the commission was to destroy the demons suppressed in a church in a certain village. It's very dangerous." Gray also spoke with lingering fears. Are you sure you want to do this entrusted mission? Makarov asked seriously. This entrustment was originally intended to be transferred to the second floor for S-rank mages to do it. It's not that he doesn't like Dieter and Erza. The main reason is that this task is also very difficult, especially that demon. Legend has it that it is a demon named Satan. Even if only the soul is suppressed, it is not something that a magician can handle. No one has done this commission in the past 3 months, which is enough to prove how difficult it is. Even though Dieter and Erza's strengths are progressing rapidly, it's probably not enough to deal with demons. It's okay, Dieter said confidently. He doesn't care whether the devil is a devil or not. Since it can be suppressed, it means that it is not enough now. This commission still needs people to do it. Uncle Gear Das is not here, so naturally someone will go. Erza said beside him. Demons are indeed scary. But she is more willing to believe in Dieter's strength, and even if she really can't be eliminated, she can get out completely. Makarov was silent. Seeing that the two of them were so determined to do the task, they simply agreed, waving their hands and warning them seriously. Remember, come back in time if there is danger. Fairy tale can't be without you. Children, don't be brave. Dieter's eyes were dazed, and at this moment Makarov was kindly caring for them like a father. This emotion also made him go back to his previous life. The kind of family relationship with family also climbed to my heart. Okay. Dieter nodded, turned around and walked towards the staff dormitory, planning to go back to pack up. The same goes for Erza. After the two left, the guild members all spoke. In a year, Dieter has become more and more responsible. Macau sighed while drinking. Thinking back a year ago, Dieter was a little kid who just came to the guild, and now he has grown into a reliable boy. Not only is he responsible, but his strength is also getting stronger and stronger, and it feels like we will get rid of our old predecessors in an instant. Wakaba took a deep breath and immersed himself in the smoke. There are more and more people in the guild, and the strength of each one has become stronger, which is indeed a happy thing. Gray scratched his head. It's just a demon. There's no danger that Dieter and Erza join forces. Wow. Damn it, I'm going to duel him. Natsu frowned. Gray rolled the eyes of the dead fish and complained, you spitting fire, you know you can't beat him, but you're going to die. Exhibitionist. Let's fight. Boring. Hang-eyed man. You bastard. Exhibitionist. Dang-eyed man. Let's fight. Ha ha ha. I'm going to beat you to death. Magnolia Station. Dieter stared blankly at Erza, who was dragging a lot of luggage by his side. What? Erza looked uncomfortable and asked, is there something wrong? Dieter pointed at the whole car of luggage she was pulling, and said speechlessly, what's the matter with your hobby? Do you have to prepare so much luggage every time you do a task? And Erza looked at his luggage and tilted his head for a while, puzzled. Shouldn't you just bring luggage when you go out? That said, Dieter was powerless to complain. I want to refute, but there is really no place to justify it. It is true that you need to bring luggage when you go out. Only forget it, don't worry about it. Shaking his head, he didn't continue to answer the call, and got on the train after the train stopped. Sit down when you find a spot. The two picked up the entrusted task again and checked it out. The target of this mission is a demon soul named Satan, Erza said. Dieter suddenly interrupted and asked in surprise, what's going on? Satan's demon soul. No wonder Dieter thinks too much, as the Satan in the fairy tale world. What he knows best is Mirajane, who has receiving magic. That is a very good-looking and quite attractive woman. She has an angelic face, and when she is gentle, she is Mirajane, a lovely waiter, and when she is fighting, she is Mirajane, a powerful and terrifying S-class magician demon. Her strength is one of the best in the entire guild. Yes, it is said that this Satan was suppressed in a certain church. He is very powerful and has a different form. Erza nodded. Here Dieter go silent here. He didn't know whether it was right or wrong to destroy Satan's soul in the past at this moment. If it is eliminated now, does it mean that Mirajane's first receiving form is about to disappear, and does it mean that Mirajane cannot enter the fairy tale guild at an absurd point? So cute and good-looking sister flowers want to live outside? Well, I think there may be a problem with this commission. Let's go over and take a look. Dieter spoke seriously. Before confirming the whereabouts of Mirajane and others, try not to contact Satan's soul. Alright, Erza didn't think much of it. Continue to talk to Dieter about the process of this mission, and also make a series of plans. If you can't get rid of it at that time, you can also withdraw and leave in time. Safety is the most important. Although she believed in Dieter's strength, she was not afraid of 10,000, and she had to be prepared. The train galloped on the track, walked through every city station. A certain village. Dieter and Erza come to a village to suppress the demon Satan. You are the wizards from the fairy tale guild? At the entrance of the village chief looked at Dieter and Erza in front of him with a strong suspicion in his eyes. Even sent 2 children. It seems that Fairy Tale, the first guild, is nothing more than that. Yes, we are the wizards sent by Fairy Tale. Can the village chief take us into the village? Dieter introduced modestly. He didn't refute the suspicion and contempt in the village chief's eyes. No matter how the 2 children refute, it is impossible to attract attention. It is better to directly prove their identity with strength. Okay. Come with me, you two. The village chief agreed. After all, it was the person sent by Fairy Tale, and the most basic reception etiquette was indispensable. He turned around and led the way, and led Dieter and Erza into the village. The 2 followed behind and looked around. Dieter wants to see if he can find the Mirajane sisters. 3 can't. He didn't know where Mirajane's hometown was, but he wanted to be able to obtain Satan's soul, and when he was still very young, he should be a local. The people here don't seem to sleep well at night, Erza whispered. Although the village chief in front is old, his hearing is still very good. After hearing Erza's words, he also explained the reason. A long time ago, the devil Satan was suppressed by the church, but in recent months, Satan's roar has become louder and louder, making the people in the village unable to eat or sleep well. The Fairy Tale Guild sent people to destroy the demons. I never thought. I didn't say anything later, but I could hear that the village chief resented the 2 children sent by the Fairy Tale Guild. Dieter ignored the ignorant village chief. He continued to look at the people in the village, trying to find the 3 Mirajane figures. Unfortunately, until the village chief brought the 2 of them to find a place to rest, they could not find it. The 2 of you, please rest here, and if you need anything, just tell me. After the village chief settled the 2, he turned and left. There was absolutely no hope for Dieter and Erza. People go. Dieter swept across the corner of the room and sat down in thought. Wait until we get there tonight? Erza asked. After all, the devil Satan is very dangerous. Since he came here, he must do his best to entrust him. Time waits for no one. In order to let the people in the village eat and sleep well, he decided to wait until the evening to go to the church to destroy the devil Satan. Okay. Dieter agreed. It was no longer a matter of Dieter doing what he wanted. Since he had accepted this request, he had to do what he had to do. Even if Mirajane couldn't join the guild because of it, the whole village could not continue to panic. At the same time, inside a house in the corner of the village. Silver white hair is the most striking feature of this family. Sister, are we really going? Elfman asked. My sister just decided to help the village eliminate the monster in the church, but that monster is the legendary devil Satan. Even if there are only remnants left, they are not able to deal with it. Brother, we have to trust my sister. The whole village can't rest well because of that monster's noise. As a member of the village, you can't just sit back and ignore it. Lysana sat on the other side with clean short hair. And Mirajane with a bow on his head nibbled at the hard biscuits in his hand, and said angrily, of course I will go. That monster that I don't know what it is so noisy that people can't sleep. Why don't you get rid of such a monster and stay there? You guys trust me. But I heard that the village chief has asked a magician to help. Elfman was still a little worried. It's enough to have a magician to do it in person, and it's better to let someone with strength handle this kind of thing. Brother, why are you so cowardly? Instead of relying on others, it is better to rely on yourself. We can definitely get rid of the demon monster first, and prove that we are not weaker than the sorcerer. Lysana smiled. She chose to believe unconditionally about her sister. No sorcerer is definitely inferior to his sister, and he must be able to get rid of the demon in that church. Mirajane nodded with satisfaction, took a gulp of hot water next to her, and hurriedly continued to take a bite of the hard biscuits, saying, it is better to rely on yourself than others. The sorcerer will leave one day. Do you have to rely on others when you encounter difficulties? On his face was a righteous and awe-inspiring self-confidence. Only when we become stronger can we protect the village well. Lysana and Elfman looked excited, obviously overwhelmed by what their sister Mirajane said. Night falls. Everyone in the village immediately put down their work when the sun went down. Hide in your own house, turn off the lights, and fall asleep early. They all know that the devil Satan will make a miserable roar at night, and they will go to sleep in time to be physically busy tomorrow. At this moment, the village where there were still human figures fell into extreme silence. Dieter and Erza climbed the wall from the residence. The surrounding silence did not even sound the sound of crickets, which was a bit strange. It seems that the people here are very afraid of being tortured by the devil Satan. Dieter stepped forward and Erza followed closely, terrified from her nervous little face. Geek. As soon as he took a step, he heard something flash, and Erza grabbed Dieter's arm nervously. After all, she's just a teenage girl, and it's normal to be afraid of the dark night. Dieter took her to the direction of the church without leaving a trace, and the road was always guarded against possible dangers. Creak. Open the door of the church. The interior is a dark environment. It's not an exaggeration to call it out of sight. Roar. Sudden. A roar resounded through the valley. The airwaves caused by the cry were like a violent storm, and the church door swayed and made a strange, creaking, sound. All the people in the village could not help but tighten their quilts and tremble. The surrounding small animals also hid in the nest blood and shivered. The two in the church were even more shocked. Isn't that a bit too loud? Dieter muttered. Originally, the elder of the association said that the devil Satan was very scary. He didn't believe it, but now it really surprised him. Just the power of the roar made his clothes rattle. There are faint signs of being blown away from the body. The air wave that the roar raised was so terrifying. Next to Erza, he raised his arm to cover his pale face, and squeezed Dieter's palm tightly with the other hand, and his body began to slide back in the roar. Quick fight. Dieter ordered. After waiting for the airwave to stop, he rushed towards the depths of the church. No matter what, he still needed to see the devil Satan first. Church backyard. Following the source of the voice, Dieter and Erza quickly pinpointed the location of the demon Satan. It's underground. Dieter was surprised. I never thought that this church still has other things, and there is probably a secret room underground. Are you looking for an agency? Maybe it's too late, Erza hurriedly asked. Dieter shook his head directly. It is too difficult to find the mechanism, and the underground Satan is likely to continue to call, and the roar of that level is too dangerous. It is better to attack directly. Get out of the way, and I'll break the ground, Dieter ordered. Erza had to take a quick step back, watching Dieter wonder what he was going to do. Moonstep. Dieter thought, and his body immediately leapt towards the heights. By the moonlight for a while, the figure was so small that it was almost invisible. What are you going to do? Erza thought. I don't know how deep the basement is. In this case, looking for a mechanism is the best way. The method of breaking through the ground by force seems simple, but it is not clear how much force it will actually take. If you use it too small, you won't be able to break the ground, and it will waste your power. If you use too much force, it may be affected nearby. 6 Styles Razor. Dieter's body fell, and he continued to accelerate in the air with the fusion of moonsteps and shaving. The strong winds and waves around him blew him. It was getting closer and closer to the ground, and it was about to fall to the ground. At this time, Dieter clenched his fist tightly, constantly gathering strength on the fist. The blue veins on the back of his hand swelled up, and the whitish phalanx fully indicated that the power of this attack was definitely not weak. 6 Types of Profound Truth, 6 King's Spear. Boom. Caw caw caw. The earth was shaking, and the entire church building was shaken by the impact of this fist. As the closest person, Erza fell to the ground by the shaking. It was also very shocking to see the crack centered on Dieter's fist. This punch was so powerful. Too strong. Erza couldn't help but exclaim. Everyone in the guild knows that Dieter is very strong, and no one of his age can beat him, but everyone can never imagine that Dieter's strength is probably enough to become an S-rank mage. Careful. Dieter suddenly exclaimed. A shaved came to Erza's body, grabbed her without waiting for her to ask questions, and stepped into the air. Boom. Erza was just about to ask, when the ground collapsed and the basement was clearly exposed to the night light. But it's not over yet. With the collapse of the ground, the walls of the church climbed into cracks, which were particularly dazzling in the dark night. Ba ba ba. Suddenly, Dieter and Erza both heard voices coming from inside the church. Could it be that someone was in the church at the time? Hey. What did the two of you do? There's dust everywhere, don't pay attention at all. 3 figures came out of the back door of the church, and at the head was a little girl who looked like a bad girl. Followed by the slightly shy Lisanna and the goofy-looking elfman. Mirajane. Dieter muttered. Sure enough, this Mirajane is really in this village, but I haven't seen anyone before. The purpose of their coming here at this time. Roar. The roar of the demon Satan broke Dieter's guess. Immediately told the 3 of Mirajane. Hide away immediately, the next battle will spread to you. As soon as the voice fell, he took Erza and fell towards the deep hole that exploded. Boom. War is imminent. Mirajane. 3 people outside have looked dumbfounded. Amazing. Mirajane was surprised. That magical magic made her very envious, and being able to fly can also cause such power. Sister, let's go. The roar made Lisanna's body tremble with fear, and she grabbed her sister's arm to persuade. Yeah, sister, we can't beat that demon monster at all, so let's leave quickly, Elfman also said. Mirajane, however, stared at the 2 men in the pothole who joined forces to fight against the demonic phantom. Excited to get involved. No. I want to go down to help, I can't let those two die. Lisanna, you and Elfman go first, and I'll go back when I go. Mirajane ordered. He broke free from the obstruction of his younger brother and sister and walked towards the deep pit. She had a gut feeling that if she didn't go on, she might lose something very important. So some don't care. Below. The battle went on quickly, and the strength of the demon Satan's soul should not be underestimated. Dieter and Erza were defeated steadily. Dieter, we're going to withdraw. This demon is much stronger than I thought. Erza was beaten out again, and the numb arm also showed that the current demon was far beyond the expected judgment. Wait. Dieter frowned. The power of this devil Satan is indeed strong, but it is not invincible. What is lacking now is the opportunity. An attacking opportunity. I'm here to help you. At this point Mirajane came down from above and charged towards him with a stick in his hand. Erza was shocked, and yelled with red eyes. What are you doing here? Are you going to die? The darkness of Tower of Heaven made her watch the tragic situation of her peers, and when she saw Mirajane coming over, she couldn't help but worry that the tragedies of the past would happen again. Good chance. Dieter has been keeping an eye on the ghost of the demon Satan.
When Mirajane came down from the outside, the demon Satan moved somewhat slowly.
And he seized the opportunity. Shave. When the Navy 6 form was used, Dieter's figure immediately rushed in front of the devil Satan. Both hands clenched and aimed at the big guy in front of him. 6 style profound truth, biggest wheel, 6 kings spear A. The blow Dieter used all his strength to gather and release it. Boom. Rumble. The super strong shockwave penetrated the soul of the devil Satan and directly affected the damage on the soul body. Instantly defeat the demon Satan. And the aftermath of the 6 kings spear directly hit the underground wall behind Satan. More violent shaking went through the entire village. Those who were awakened curiously opened the door to a gap. He stared at the direction of the church with fear. Boom. Just as their eyes watched, cracks in the walls of the entire church continued to spread. When it spread to the whole building, the ancient church full of history collapsed and turned into ruins under a turbulent dust. All the villagers rushed out of their houses in horror. What's going on? How could the church collapse? Could it be that the demon monster has regained its freedom? What the hell happened tonight? The church turned into ruins. Devil. It must be the devil who is reborn, and will slaughter our village next. Run. You must run quickly. No. I don't want to die. An atmosphere of panic spread from the villagers. Everyone was scared and wanted to go home and pack up and leave the village overnight. Ruin scene. Dieter wasn't too happy. At this moment, the body was a little tired and slumped on the ground, watching the soul that had just been shattered by himself begin to condense again. As expected of the devil Satan, this immortality is really tricky, Dieter complained. Erza stepped forward and came to his side, lifted Dieter up and said, "You've worked so hard, we have to leave now." Dieter didn't speak, and turned his head to look at Mirajane, who had been absent from the beginning. Less than 3 seconds. I saw Mirajane striding towards the devil Satan. Erza was about to stop when he was pulled by Dieter, intending to look down. Mirajane absent-mindedly walked in front of the demon Satan, raised her arm and aimed at the still condensing soul. Suddenly. The devil Satan is constantly struggling. It seemed that something terrible was constantly absorbing it. But the weak soul body was still unable to resist that power, and the whole soul body poured into Mirajane's body. What? At the same time Mirajane woke up from her absence, scratching her head strangely. This. What's going on? The demon disappeared, but Erza was in doubt. It stands to reason that the terrifying demon was still alive, but why did it disappear? And Dieter was relieved. Just now he was betting on whether Mirajane would take over that demon Satan. No doubt he was right. Ah, my arm. Mirajane felt something different, the swelling and pain in her arm changed, and it slowly turned into a pair of arms that were not human. Erza, who was guarding Dieter, immediately clenched the sword in his hand, alert. Elder sister. Sister, are you all right? Elfman and Lisanna above heard the sound and got down immediately. When he saw Mirajane's arms, his forward stance suddenly stopped, and his heart skipped a beat when he saw those arms that were not human. This. How could my sister's arm be? Lisanna asked. Elfman looked at Dieter and Erza with red eyes, and asked, "What the hell did you do to my sister?" Hearing Elfman's words, Erza frowned and was a little displeased, but also knew that he was just concerned and messed up, and didn't explain it to him. Instead, he looked at Dieter. Dieter, you know what? This question also made the 3 Mirajane siblings look at him. Dieter nodded, looked at Mirajane and said, "Congratulations on becoming a sorceress." Sorcerer. Magician. The Mirajane siblings were puzzled. Erza was a little surprised. She didn't expect that the change in the girl's arm was because of the sorcerer. Only a with a strange face, he said, "What kind of magic does this belong to?" Mirajane also listened curiously. Sorcerers belong to the Sorcerers Guild. They are a group of people with extraordinary power, and it is also the place she yearns for. At this time, she also has a hunger for her own changes. The 4 people who were there for a while turned into well-behaved students, waiting for Dieter's answer from the teacher. Magicians refer to a group of people who can use magic, and most mages need to join the Wizards Guild. Erza and I came from the Fairy Tale Wizards Guild. The magic power in each person is limited. Although the total amount of magic power can be enhanced through later training, all magicians are proficient in magic. There are many kinds of magic in the world. For example, my comrade Erza, she learns dressing magic. Erza next to him nodded, and summoned several different long swords from the different space to cooperate with Dieter's teaching. The 3 Mirajane on the opposite side also learned about the world of mages for the first time. Transformation magic is magic that can summon weapons stored in a magical space anytime, anywhere to fight. And your magic belongs to receiving magic. Dieter was careful, but didn't say whether or not individuals could learn different kinds of magic. Because he can't figure it out either. Receive magic. Is it the kind of magic that receives monster or animal power? Erza asked. The 3 people on the other side continued to listen carefully. Dieter nodded. Yes, it can receive the power of monsters or animals and use it for itself. This kind of magic can be divided into 2 categories: partial reception, which only accepts part of the target's body, and whole body reception, which fully receives the target. Mirajane, like a student, raised her hand and asked, "Then I am a partial acceptance?" The 2 arms turned into monsters, which is the same as the state of partial reception. That should be the case. However, Dieter shook his head. No, receiving magic can be freely switched between the 2 forms. Your current state is because you are not familiar with this kind of magic, so it will become like this. When you join the guild in the future, someone will specifically teaching you how to master this ability. Erza immediately understood why Dieter was talking in such detail. Although she is still young, she is still very smart and knows her plan to do so. You're amazing. You know so much, and you're about the same age as me. Mirajane's face was filled with admiration, but she quickly dimmed. The Sorcerers Guild, I have a younger brother and sister to take care of. It was time for Erza to speak. She walked up to Mirajane and extended her hand to invite. Come on, come to Fairy Tale, all 3 of you can join. Within the village. The village chief led a group of villagers around the door where Dieter and Erza were resting. One of the villagers said uncertainly, "Those 2 children have already escaped. Fairy Tale sent 2 children here, and I'm afraid I didn't intend to let them complete the unreturned task." The family members of the villager beside him also muttered, "I'm afraid I'm already dead." The village chief's face was full of anger. He was also very angry when he heard the words of the villagers, and scolded them harshly. "You shut up, since you were sent by the Fairy Tale Guild, you must show enough respect and wait for them to come out at the door." After hearing what the village chief said, the villagers were reluctant. But no one came out for such a long time. Maybe he ran away long ago. That's right, the earthquake and the screams were so loud just now. No matter how deep you sleep, you should wake up. Yeah, it's better to go directly to find it. The villagers were already full of complaints about Fairy Tale sending 2 children, which would naturally be impossible to respect. After being told by their words, the village chief also wanted to go in and have a look. You are. At this time, Dieter brought Erza to the residence, and saw that the whole village was here, and was a little curious for a while. After hearing the sound, the villagers and the village chief looked at it. When I saw that the people who came were the 2 children sent by Fairy Tale, the atmosphere couldn't help condensing. Why didn't the 2 of you rest at home? The village chief asked hurriedly. Dieter shrugged strangely. We just went to deal with the demon monster, of course we can't be at home. Hiss. The cool air in the air was sucked away by the villagers. They all looked at the 2 children in front of them in horror, their brains running fast. Did you just deal with the demon monster? So that means they caused the roars and earthquakes before? That's kind of scary. The village chief's heart beat faster and his face turned red and asked, "Then that earthquake just now?" Dieter admitted it indifferently, nodded and replied, "Yes, the earthquake just now is the aftermath of our battle with the demon monsters. I'm sorry to disturb everyone's rest." Silent. And it's quiet. The villagers couldn't help but stagnate, and when they took another breath, the air was a lot dignified. I was fighting the devil just now. The aftermath of the battle made the village feel the earthquake and even destroyed the church. This is too scary. Obviously there are 2 children, why do they have such terrifying strength? And at this time, when they appeared here, doesn't it mean that the demon that tortured them for several months has disappeared? The devil. The devil is gone? The village chief was breathing rapidly. Desperately want to know the ending. Yeah, that demon is very strong, but our fairy tale guild is much more powerful, and has been eliminated by us. Dieter replied calmly. Uproar. All the people could not help but lose their voices. They looked at Dieter and Erza in shock, surprise, or amazement. The scalp stared numbly. Even if there are people in their hearts who keep denying it and don't want to believe it, the result will make them feel terrified. Fairy tale is indeed the strongest guild. Even 2 10-year-old children have this kind of shocking strength. It's getting late, everyone rest early, we should go back tomorrow. Dieter didn't mind their surprise. Take Erza through the crowd back home to rest. Leaving a group of stunned people, the next day. Thanks to the villagers, Dieter and Erza left the village with their pay. After meeting with Mirajane and the 3 of them outside the village, they headed back the way they came. Dieter, teach me how to practice magic. I want to grow up quickly. Mirajane added, and then beat you. Dieter, who was leading the way, was stunned. Doubtful looking at the bad girl Mirajane, it is understandable to teach cultivation. But what kind of weird idea you have to beat me, little girl, your way is narrow. Forget it. Dieter was speechless, if I teach you, we can go back slower. As for defeating me, don't have such thoughts. Mirajane doesn't care so much, she only knows that Dieter promised to help her practice, and happily agreed. Okay. Erza smiled at Dieter, and sure enough he was still charming. Magnolia, Fairy Tale Guild. After a long journey that lasted a month, Dieter and his party of 5 finally came back. Standing at the door, Mirajane 3 people were warmly welcomed. Welcome to Fairy Tale. Lisanna and Elfman looked at the guild gate a little nervously, worried about whether they could join the guild. Even Dieter must have been a little skeptical many times. Mirajane, on the other hand, is a lot more enthusiastic. With a bright light in his eyes, he immediately stepped forward and opened the guild door. Ha ha ha. Hello Fairy Tale, I'm here to kick the gym. Mirajane laughed. The members of the house were stunned. Turning his head, he looked at Mirajane, the bad girl at the door, with a little surprise. Dieter stepped forward with a headache, patted Mirajane on the shoulder, and took the initiative to step into the guild. Yo, I'm back. Welcome back. You kid should be on a date with Erza, he's only coming back in a month. Yo-yo, are all the young people now so precocious? Haha, you're making a fuss again, Dieter. After seeing Dieter back, the guild members welcomed him warmly. Natsu also jumped out immediately, shouting, Dieter, let's duel. Clam? Where's the kid? Mirajane jumped out from behind, staring at Natsu with contempt. Dieter laughed and walked to the president. Yo, good old man. Dieter greeted with a grin. President Makarov nodded in relief. You did a good job, you can deal with the devil Satan, very good. However, Dieter's face changed dramatically before he could be humble, and he picked up a few pieces of paper and handed them to him. But did you go too far? You demolished other people's churches, and you didn't honestly destroy several shops on the way back. Dieter looked embarrassed. He scratched his head and said aggrievedly, the church itself is in disrepair, and if it doesn't fall in any better, someone can build something better, and there's that shop where the bosses even said that I'm a little kid who doesn't deserve to fish. I can't stand my temper. Erza looked at Mirajane arguing with Natsu, and Elfman and Lisanna restrained behind him. Looking at Dieter who was confronting the president again, his mood improved a lot. It's good here. Damn it. You are arrogant, kid. Makarov and Dieter blushed and said angrily, what's going on with those 3 little guys? Dieter stopped arguing and recounted everything that happened in the church at that time. Receive magic? Receive demon Satan. Makarov was surprised, looking at the bad girl Mirajane and nodded with satisfaction. It looks like a girl with unlimited potential. There. The quarrel has heated up. Come out with me, little brat, I'm going to teach you a good lesson. Mirajane, the bad girl, invited her to fight in a frenzy. Natsu was not afraid, and raised his neck to fight back. Fight if you fight, I will teach you a good lesson. The 2 walked outside. Dieter also laughed and followed suit. Mirajane was not so kind when she was a child. Makarov and other members of the guild also followed, intending to see how powerful the new girl was. Outside. Dieter stood beside Makarov, waiting for the battle to end. Hey. Dieter, guess who will win? Macau hurriedly asked. Dieter responded without hesitation. Mirajane, Natsu won't last long in her hands. No way. Wakaba was surprised. Although Natsu was very small, he was actually very strong, and now Dieter said he was vulnerable. Even Gray, Kana, and President Makarov were surprised by Dieter's affirmation. How is it possible? Even if the little girl received the power of the devil Satan, How could it be possible to beat Natsu in a month? Makarov didn't believe it. The strength of receiving magic depends entirely on the upper limit of the target being received. The stronger the reception is, the stronger the strength will be in the later stage. The Devil Satan is indeed outrageously strong, but after only a month, it is impossible to use the full power of the Devil Satan. Everyone else thinks so. But Dieter also sighed when he thought about the practice this month. You can't imagine how talented she is, and her learning ability and talent in cultivation are definitely not weaker than Erza. Guild members questioned. And the battle in front of you has just begun. Little kid, don't blame me for not giving face. As long as you can hold on for 5 minutes, I'll admit defeat, Mirajane said. Stand still and close your eyes to use magic. Receive magic, Satan Sola A, hoo-hoo. As the magic received, a wave of air blew around Mirajane. A dark black magic circle appeared above her head. At that moment, Mirajane finished receiving. The bad girl has disappeared, replaced by Mirajane Satan with demon arms, some lines on her body, and a tail behind her. Go to hell. Mirajane said coldly. He stepped on the ground and rushed towards Natsu, with a qualitative leap in speed and strength. The guild members were also dumbfounded. They stared at Mirajane, who was beating Natsu in disbelief. Bang bang bang. Clap clap clap. Ah. Let alone 5 minutes, under Mirajane's beating, Natsu didn't even hold on for a minute. The beaten body screamed in pain. Too weak. Mirajane withdrew her magic after saying a word, gasping for breath and wiping the sweat on her forehead. Brother Dieter has been helping me with my practice this month. I thought you would be strong, but that's what happened? Hiss. Everyone in the guild gasped with a toothache. I'm going. Why did you come back in the past 2 years? Those who joined the guild are all such terrifying little monsters. This girl is actually taught by Dieter himself. He is too powerful. I'm convinced. Dieter is not only a little monster himself, but the apprentices he taught are also little monsters. They were completely overwhelmed. Dieter's own strength is super strong, and now even his apprentices are so strong, he deserves to be the boss of his age. Impressed. Everyone in the guild was really convinced. Even Makarov admired it. At the same time, the idea in my mind is constantly growing. Time to start. S-Class Mage Examination A. Days pass by. In the blink of an eye, winter and spring come and go. Mirajane has long been a member of the guild with her younger brother and sister. And he and Erza became rivals, and the reason for becoming rivals turned out to be who has a good relationship with Dieter. Erza also integrated into the guild under the harassment of 3 naughty guys, Mirajane, Gray, and Natsu, and is no longer so lonely. Dieter once again became a frequent visitor to the sea fishing at the guild gate. This day, Dieter, who had planned to continue fishing, found that the atmosphere in the guild was a little different. Squeezed between Erza and Mirajane and asked curiously, what happened to the guild today? It seems to be a little different, everyone seems to be very enthusiastic. Mirajane shook her head, all she knew was fighting Erza, she didn't care about anything else. Or Erza explained to Dieter. I heard that the president is going to announce the assessment staff of S-Class mages today. I don't know who they are. S-rank mage exam. Dieter was surprised. Of course Dieter knew it for the past few years after joining the guild, but it was never held because there were no staff. Does it mean that someone has met the requirements for the assessment? Who will it be? The other members of the guild are very gossipy in discussions. It's time for the S-Class mages assessment again. This year, Lagoses will definitely be eligible to participate. There should be other people. If there is only one person, there is no need to hold such an event. It's good to directly promote the candidate to become an S-rank mage. I feel like Dieter would be a good fit too, maybe he'll be in there too. I don't think so. The requirements for S-rank mages are mission completion and strength. Naturally, there is nothing to say about strength, but the mission. Yeah, that should be Erza. The people in the guild are very interested in this kind of guessing candidates. After analyzing everyone in the guild, it is possible that only one of the 3 Dieter, Erza, and Mirajane will end up. It should be you. Dieter looked at Erza and added, you are the best in terms of strength and mission completion, neither Mirajane nor me. Damn it. Mirajane was dissatisfied, clenching her fists and staring at Erza with fiery eyes. The next second she stepped on the table. Erza, let's fight. Another day. Erza shook his head. I think it should be you Dieter and Lagoses. About this Dieter smiled wryly. In his heart, he was reluctant to take part in the S-rank mage exam, even though he was quite strong, but if his opponent was Lagoses, he would definitely win. The main reason is that his gold finger is very unreliable. Now that he has cultivated the 6th form of the Navy to level 9, but he has been unable to obtain skill points, resulting in being stuck all the time. At this level, he cannot form a crushing combat power against Lagoses. He hopes that other types of means can be added sooner. But the system is not powerful. Gee, what did he beat me with? Just as Erza and Dieter were communicating, a beating voice came from behind. Hey, Lagoses, are you going too far, and it's not easy for Dieter to hit you. Mirajane immediately turned around and stepped on the stool to defend Dieter when she heard Lagoses' slap. Lagoses, you should be more polite. Everyone is a companion of the guild. It's impossible for anyone like you to care about you. Erza also spoke. But Lagoses didn't really care what Erza said. Leaving the two women by mistake, the voice came in a leisurely voice. You two women better pray that you don't participate in the S-level mage exam. I will kill the flowers. F***ck. So arrogant. Dieter couldn't sit still when he heard Lagoses' beating tone. He stood up from his seat and looked at his back, his tone became cold, and said, Lagoses, remember what you said just now. I can't allow Erza and Mirajane to get hurt. If you play against them, you have to be careful. If you hurt them, you're done. Haha. Lagoses sneered, showing a disdainful expression, turning his head to stare at Dieter playfully. I won't show mercy when I meet you. The air is scorched. Both of them stared at each other not to be outdone. Dislike each other. The rest of the guild didn't know how to speak. The relationship between the two is quite bad in itself, but this time it really becomes more and more rigid. Cough cough. Just when the atmosphere froze, President Makarov came down from the upstairs and cleared his throat to draw everyone's eyes back. I think you all know that it's time for the S-rank mage exam again, Makarov said. The members of the guild had lively discussions. They are all very curious about how many places there are in this S-rank mage assessment. President, how many S-level assessors are there this year? Who else besides Lagoses? It should be Erza. She has been very good in the past few years, and she has done a good job of delegating tasks. I'm more optimistic about Mira. Maybe they will all participate, these people are very strong. I think so too, everyone in the guild asked. President Makarov listened to everyone's inquiries and did not directly name the candidate. After the conversation was quiet for a while, he said, there are only 2 people who participated in the S-rank mage assessment this year. The strength of these 2 is obvious to all, and they are enough to take the responsibility of the S-rank mage. 2? Everyone in the guild was a little surprised by the president's decision. In terms of strength, both Erza and Mirajane and Dieter are strong, and even Gray and Natsu are rising stars. They thought that even if there were not many places, there should still be 3 or more qualifications. As a result, I never thought that only 2 S-class mages could have the qualifications for this exam. There are only 2, so apart from Lagoses, the other target can only be one of Erza, Mirajane, Gray, Natsu, and Dieter. Among these people, Gray and Natsu are still not good enough, and Dieter's words are unlikely. The strength that the president said just now is obvious to all. It means that it only depends on strength. It is definitely Dieter. My god. You're such a clever little devil. Anyone can say that. Among them Gray and Natsu will naturally be eliminated first. The 2 parties had ugly expressions on their faces. You guys. Gray complained, it's so disrespectful to these people. Natsu also scratched his hair and whispered, I'm strong too, okay. Of course. The accusations of the 2 men went unheeded. You must know that this time it is the qualification for the S-rank mage assessment, and the strength of the 2 people in the entire guild is really weak. Who is that man? Lagoses asked. He didn't think anyone in the guild was qualified to compare with him. Not Erza, not Mirajane, not even Dieter. None of these people are rivals. The first one is Lagoses Dolea. Makarov shouted his name. Everyone in the guild was expressionless, and of course they knew about Lagoses. What made them curious was another member. The other one is Dieter. Uproar. The members of the guild all showed expressions of sudden realization, and it was the same person they thought. The other person with the S-rank qualification is really Dieter. Dieter, it really is you. Both Erza and Mirajane are happy for him. Dieter raised his brows lightly. It was necessary to escape now, and it was just the right time to hit Lagoses properly. Look at it now, Lagoses and Dieter, I don't know which of them is more powerful. Haha, I think Lagoses might be stronger. Lagoses is the grandson of the guild leader. Naturally, he has no talent or strength. He joined the guild since he was a child, and his strength has already belonged to the first step among the young people in the guild. Dieter is also very strong. I haven't seen him make a move for a long time. This time, I think he will show more power, right? The guild members were not disappointed. In the current division of strength within the guild, Lagoses is also the strongest under the S-rank mages. And Dieter is mysterious, and he doesn't usually do many commissioned tasks, and his strength is probably the same as Lagoses. Master. I don't know what the assessment is about. Dieter ignored the discussion among the guild members and looked at Makarov. The veins on Lagosis's forehead suddenly rose. No matter what the content is, as long as you defeat the S-rank mage, it belongs to me. Makarov sighed. His grandson was in the rebellious period, and he was a little undisciplined, and said, Gear DOS was supposed to test you, but he didn't come back in time, so this time the test is straight. The two of you can learn from each other. Who will it be? Whoever wins is S-rank. The neat content also aroused the guild members' mood to watch the play. A battle of dragons and tigers is also about to be staged. Haha. Lagosis laughed loudly. That's great. Even Dieter was a little surprised. He didn't expect that the S-rank assessment only required the assessment of strength. Compete with Lagos? Dieter has no opinion on this. Before, he was just worried that his strength was not enough to crush Lagos's. Now, since this is the case, it is also possible not to crush and win. Now Lagos's is only 17 years old. His strength may be very strong in the future, but he is still not in the eyes of Dieter. That's fine, Dieter responded. Go straight outside without paying attention to Lagos's. Since we are learning from each other, don't talk so much nonsense and come directly. Handsome. So cool, Dieter is finally going to compete with Lagos's. I've been waiting for this day for a long time. Macau drank the wine in his glass and left the guild with a smile, ready to find a suitable viewing spot first. Wakaba followed with a cigarette. Hey, Macau, wait for me. That's awesome. Natsu also laughed and ran out. Gray shook his head and followed. Kana muttered and walked outside with the barrel of wine. Trouble, there's no way to be happy with a fight or something. Erza and Mirajane looked at each other and headed outside. The rest of the guild also left the guild, trying to find a reliable place to watch the next battle. Chi. A bunch of trash. Lagersis cursed. Clenching his fists and walking out, he was not afraid of Dieter. This time, he must know who is the first person under the S-rank mages in the guild. Hey. Makarov looked at his grandson and shook his head and sighed. I don't know if Dieter can do it, but Lagos's has a super destructive thunder magic, and ordinary people are not opponents at all. Ding. Sign in to the S-level mage assessment, and you will be rewarded with 6 skill points. Just walking out of the guild, Dieter stomped. The line of words appeared in the brain, and the long disappeared system appeared again. It's still 6 skill points, Dieter muttered. Without further ado, directly add 1 point to each of the 6 naval styles. The level of the Navy's 6th form was successfully added. Full iron block, full moon step, full foot post, full paper painting, full finger gun, full shaving. Since then, the level of the Navy's 6th form has been successfully filled. Treasure box. Dieter looked a little excitedly at the treasure chest above the Navy Type 6. With the full level of the Navy Type 6, the treasure chest was already lit up. Dieter goes and clicks. Insufficient skill points. It's a pity that opening the treasure chest also requires skill points, and now his skill points have been used up. If you want to open the treasure chest, you can only wait until the next time you get skill points. Your sister. How come the damn skill points are not enough? I don't even have a quest. The next time I get skill points, who knows when it will be. In the past few years, the Navy Type 6 has finally been upgraded to the full level. I thought it was time to open the treasure chest, but there was another reward that required skill points to open. Depressed, he looked at the treasure chest. Suddenly, Dieter found that there was a line of small words on the treasure chest at this moment, which seemed to write something, and tried to check. Devil Fruit Treasure Chest. After opening, you will randomly get a natural, superhuman, and animal devil fruit. Oh my god. Dieter was stunned. Originally he thought that this treasure chest might be the ability of other worlds. I didn't expect it to be a devil fruit. Wouldn't this be a direct blow to the sky if he obtained the devil fruit of the 4 Emperors Whitebeard or Kaido of the Beast? If you have that kind of strength, immediately fight against the Black Dragon Akiro Nokia and directly dominate the world. Hard is getting hotter. Dieter can't wait to get stuck in bugs to keep the system checking in, and directly upgrade to full level. Dieter, get ready to start. Just as Dieter was thinking about the future, President Makarov's voice woke him up. Take a deep breath. Dieter had no choice but to get back to the point with a hot heart. By moving his body on the spot, he could clearly feel that at this moment, his use of the 6th form of the Navy had reached the limit. Shave speed. The moonstep is empty. The hardness of iron. The penetration and power of the foot in the finger gun. And the flexibility of paper painting. The 6 naval styles have been greatly improved, even if it is not so difficult for him to deal with the Devil Sabin now. In the face of Lagos's, he has been able to suppress him to the death. Come on Dieter. It's time to prove that you are the guild's first brother. I'm waiting for Lagos's to call you the boss. Ha ha ha. Lagoses, don't lose too badly, even though Dieter is not as big as you, but his strength is far more than 90% of the members of the guild. 666. Fairy Tail's most exciting battle is about to begin. Let's see if Dieter is stronger or Lagoses is stronger. The guild members cheered on both sides. Most of the members are optimistic about Dieter, and the reason is naturally that Dieter has a better relationship with them than the arrogant Lagoses. Erza, Gray, Natsu, Kana, and the Mirajane siblings all stared intently. Although I didn't call him Big Brother, everyone actually regarded Dieter as the Big Brother. Naturally hope he wins too. Don't say I don't give you a chance, let you make moves first. The opposite Lagoses was still proud. But Dieter didn't try to be hypocritical, he rushed over and punched Lagersaw's ill-fated face. Chi. Lagerses bared his nose in disdain, and used taijutsu to fight Dieter in a bloody battle. Bang 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 bang. There is no extra skill, the two of them didn't want to go to avoid each other's fists. You punch and I use the most basic physical strength to compete. The two people's feet were also slammed with cracks by the force. A little bit of gravel rolled out of the crack and rolled around, and the surroundings of the two were also cleaned up by the fist wind and aftermath. Finger gun. Dieter punched Lagoses again, then stretched his index finger at him and used the pistol. Dang dang. Lagerses did not evade, and the arrogant face after resisting the finger gun changed somewhat. Obviously, he didn't expect the power of the finger gun to be much stronger than he imagined. Haha, it doesn't feel good to be handsome and tough. Finger gun Madara. Dieter could of course see Lagoses' expression, and the expression on his face after the hard resistance was not good, and he couldn't stand the power after thinking about it. He quickly increased his strength again, and shot countless finger guns from between his fingers, locking Lagoses' body. Chi, do you think I'll let you hit me again? Zizia A. Lagerses was disdainful. The earphones on his head burst out with yellow lightning arcs, and his body began to flicker at that moment, constantly dodging Dieter's moves. Interesting. Dieter narrowed his eyes. At this moment, Lagoses' body seemed to be elementalized, turning into a slender arc of lightning, and it was not so easy to attack him. Then let's have a speed contest. 6 Styles Razor. The speed of the moonstep and the fusion technique of shaving has been improved even more, and the figure has almost disappeared in front of him. Chase after the flickering Lagoses. Zizia A. Crackling. The two figures at the scene have completely disappeared. All the guild members could see was the shockwave generated by the collision in front of them in the potholes that often appeared on the ground. Only President Makarov can see clearly. Even Erza and Mirajane, two talented and powerful people, couldn't see the figure on the battlefield. This is a fight between gods and gods, I can't even see a human figure, Macau complained. Wakaba was already squatting on the ground and smoking sadly. Macau, if you want to open up, both Dieter and Lagoses are little monsters, it's normal that they can't see clearly. Natsu over there has gold stars in his eyes. It's amazing. I want to fight too. Gray shook his head and persuaded. Forget it, Natsu, you're going to give it away. Whether it's Lagoses or Dieter, they can easily defeat you. Gray, let's have a fight. To shut up. Ah? Exhibitionist wants to fight. Come on. Fire spitting guy.